Welcome back. I see some some new faces and some familiar ones, or should I maybe say pictures on screen of some familiar faces and some new ones. I'm Megan Mitchell, I head MIT's Emerging Talent, and I'm here to welcome you to our closing session. It's hard to believe. It's been an action-packed and exciting week for the 2024 Migration Summit. This Migration Summit is organized by MIT Emerging Talent, Namal, and Karam Foundation, and it is a week-long global convening designed to build bridges between diverse communities of displaced learners, universities, companies, social enterprises, policymakers, employers, and governments all around the key challenges and opportunities for refugees and migrant communities. And as hopefully most of you realize by now, and it's been clear this year, we've really dug deep into exploring the theme of unlocking and engaging talent, pathways for dignified work. And that's, through the virtual events that we've hosted, um, as organizers and from our partners around the world. And so, I just wanted to tell you what to expect from our closing session. This we're designing to hear from lots of different people, because this is really about a chance to reflect as a community on the past week, what we've learned, what we're taking away, maybe some things that surprised us. Hopefully that, it's always a good day if you've been surprised with some new knowledge. And look ahead to what we can create, what we will continue to do to try and shift mindsets, spark actions, and support pathways to dignified employment. And I think, there'll be opportunities for people to call out actions, however big or I'll say small, but always impactful, that they might be willing and able to commit to help us continue to move forward. And we, as an organizing committee, have some exciting things that'll continue to roll out in the near term, as well as some in-person events that are happening around the world that you'll hear more about. But for today, we'll do a quick recap on the summit, this third edition, and what's happened. But then we'll hear from from the International Labor Organization out of Kenya about the importance for decent work for refugees, and really how can we go about achieving this. We're going to invite you, the community, so start your thinking, if you are forming your words on what you want to say about any insights you're taking away, and some of the key learnings and themes, and how that's reflected in what we've heard also from the organizing committee, and what's been particularly inspirational or thought-provoking for us. We'll highlight, as I mentioned, some of those in-person events coming up, and really opportunities going forward for you to stay involved. For some of you who are, some of this amazing talent that we know that is out there that we have worked with, or that has found us through other pathways and channels, ways we can help showcase what you're doing, and again, do that mindset shift. And we'll have some interaction there at the end with some visuals and commitments, what you might do through we're going to crowdsource that. So enough from me. I would like to turn it over to my colleague and friend Lorraine from Namal to take us back through the summit, this impactful week. So Lorraine, over to you.
So this has been such a momentous, moving week. I can't begin to explain just how moved I was by what I heard this week. And I say week on purpose because this is the first time our Migration Summit has been just a week long. In the past 2 years, the summit was a month long. So can you imagine our exhaustion after a month? We feel exhausted after a week. So I just want to take you through the goals of the summit for this year. And when we talk about employment for refugees, we always talk about shifting mindsets. For us, that's the key thing. Because as I said in the earlier session, we want the talent to be considered for their skills, not their label. So we want to shift mindsets around the positions that refugees and migrants face in the employment space. That was our key goal. And when we were debating this many months ago, for us, this was the most important thing, to shift mindsets. But shifting mindsets is not enough. We need to spark action, because we need action. We need people to do things. We need companies to hire. We need people to train refugees. We need to create this whole ecosystem of action. So spark action that will have tangible opportunities. And these opportunities have to be real and tangible and not based on CSR, not based on charity or pity. These have to be real and tangible opportunities. And our third goal was to develop a common communications campaign with resources to share. And this is the bit we're working on. So at the end of the summit, it's not over. We'll be working to share a toolkit, share a campaign, share resources for the community to use to support refugee and migrant employment. So this has been the most incredible few months preparing for the summit and actually hosting the summit. So we had the week-long virtual events, and the themes included digital livelihoods, skilled migration pathway, refugee rights, sustainable employment pipelines, digital platforms for employment, entrepreneurship, and impact outsourcing, and many more. We had a huge number of amazing, exciting panels. Everything will be on YouTube, so you can go back and watch them and learn again. And for us, which we started last year, we had a lot of in-person events. And the first in-person event happened yesterday in Gran Canaria, and you'll hear from one of the organizers. We'll have in-person events happening also in Malaysia, in Mexico, India, Kenya, and Kakuma Camp, in Uganda, Nigeria, Turkey, and Cameroon. So some of them are closed, but some of them are open to everyone. So we'll be sharing these in-person events, sharing news about about more. So if you're in the area, you can register. And the Global Communications Campaign. We're really excited about this. This is the first time we're doing this. This is a way that we can extend the work that we do during the summit beyond the summit. This is how we actually create the change by this month-long campaign and beyond, where we share content, personalized stories. We have a couple of blogs which are up now about refugees sharing their stories. We have an incredible Portraits of Talent gallery wall where you can actually see the talent, hear their stories, hear the amazing things they're doing. And many of them are doing not just working, they have their own businesses, their own ideas to create change. And also, and for me, what's really important, the toolkit for employers to help employers understand how to better engage with the talent that we're trying to show them. So, next slide. So these are some of the virtual sessions. And as I said, everything's going to be on YouTube. So please go back, watch them, share them. For those of your team, your colleagues, friends who are interested in this space, who were not here, please share this with them, because we want to create momentum. Share on social media, share beyond, because we spent a lot of time curating these panels and as the organizers, and the messages are really powerful. So can we change slides? Yes. So when we were preparing for today, this slide got me most excited. And excited on one hand, but also concerned on the other hand, because this are the words of people talking about their experiences looking for work. And look at the words which are big. These are what people describe as dignified work. What is dignified work? Non-discriminatory, because we know refugees face many stigmas in society: collaborative, creative, empowering, inclusive, connection, fair, agency. These are the words which you all use to describe what a dignified job experience is, what a dignified work experience is. This isn't always the reality that we see, but we have this as our goal. This is our North Star. This is what we're aiming to achieve. So remember this, take a screenshot of this, refer to these words, because this is what we're all working toward. This is what we're creating, our communities, our organizations. This is what we want to create: dignified salaries, integration, fair, valuable, non-discriminatory career growth. This is our goal. So before I hear from the community, I'd like to invite a dear and wonderful friend of mine who has inspired me in a lot of the work that I do around creating fair and decent work for refugees. She has been a trailblazer for many years. Caroline, I think you're here, Caroline Njuki. She's officer in charge and chief technical advisor of the ILO Kenya. Caroline, are you there? Yes, can we spotlight Caroline? Happy to have you here. Welcome.
Good morning, if I may, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're logged in from. Greetings from Nairobi, Kenya. After a very eventful week we've had in this country. I don't know how many of you have seen, depends, I'm not political, but it's been an exciting time for us in Kenya because young people that often we work with showed agency. And that's something that that I would like to speak to. Thank you so much, Lorraine, for inviting me to the summit. And I think I would have crashed even if you had not invited me. But thank you so much for really reaching out and asking me to be a part of these. And I feel very sad because I was not able to join in. I was at our training school in Turin, and I couldn't join the session. So really sorry about that. But just listening through some of the reflections that you've shared, Lorraine, and I think that the keywords, what you flashed out and asked us to take a snapshot of is really what came to mind. And thinking about the incredible work that, of course, Namal, but also other partners that have shaped this summit continue to really dedicate all their efforts towards. And you know, it is the conversations that we have around creating opportunity for, yes, of course, we work with refugees, but also one of the things that, Lorraine, you've taught me is to speak about talent and not always to precursor refugee talent. Yes, we know that is what it is, but what we call people means a lot when it comes to what they do and the opportunities that are open to them. And just creating awareness around this group of people that are talented. I would not say like everyone else, but oftentimes better than many other people, but yet they're not able to access the opportunities and for different reasons. And I'm sure those are some of the reflections that you've had during the summit, you know, whether it's challenges around documentation that we still continue to work around. We do have challenges around just awareness that refugees can work. And that is something that we've struggled a lot in Kenya, where I serve with the ILO. You know, people ask, oh, can refugees actually work? Yes, they can. And so that speaks to the continued need of our voices, our collective voices, in letting employers know that that there is a crucial constituency of talent that they could be missing out. And I mean, don't we all love really diverse talent and diverse workplaces? And the second thing I you know, was reflecting, even I was thinking about this closing session, then is the centrality of preparing that talent so that it's as Lorraine, you say, it is not just you know, hire because, you know, they're refugees, hire to do good. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it is hire because there is really something that they bring to the table, that they're excellently qualified, that they can work on real tasks, and they really apply themselves fully to the tasks that are you know, that are awarded to them. And that journey, Lorraine, one of the projects that we've worked on in Kenya is really, you know, this journey, sort of closing the loop, having technical skills. And often we can have lots of discussions around how good at times technical skills are, and being open to fine-tuning that so that the technical skills meet the level of the employers. And what we've also found very useful, of course, is integration of soft skills, which we talk about in traditional roles, but that play a really critical, an even more critical role, I would say, in the digital space, where no one models behavior for you. You're working alone from wherever, whether it's a cafe or from your bedroom or whatever, from your kitchen table. And so you really have to think through a lot in terms of how you apply yourself. And significantly, what we have found very useful in preparing talent and excellent talent as that is, of course, the place for mentorship. And Namal has done an incredible work connecting the talent that we've supported to, excellent mentors around the world who then sort of help shadow that, behavior, I would say, during the mentorship journey. But we all have a good mentor, right? They help to pick us up when times are not so great, but also speak to us about opportunities and how they see our capacities. And some of those things we don't see. It takes someone else to see them for us to believe them, And so that has been a really incredible journey that we've walked with Namal, and we are looking at how it is that we can scale. Because we can have, of course, a little pockets of excellent talent, but the need is so huge. The need is and these things, it's incredible. We need to link as many people to work opportunities as possible. And also because we have challenges. For instance, in Kenya, over the last 1 or 2 years, we've seen reduction of support on and off. And what happens when this happens? Then people become very vulnerable. And any opportunity, for them to exercise agency in terms of work that gives them dignity, that gives them meaning, that goes a long way, from a very personal point of view, but also in helping them meet their everyday needs. So we, scaling up and really getting and really cliche all hands on deck is really important, so that whatever it is that we work on is broad-based. So more organizations are preparing talent well, more with larger numbers of people, so that we are also able to really move the pin, as it were, compared to the number of refugees that we are speaking about. And of course, I speak about refugees. We've also worked with host communities, and it's also proof of concept. It is demonstrating, for us, it's been demonstrating that when you have really excellent talent, then the transition to work is not a big problem. But when when there are gaps, then that becomes a bit of a challenge. And also we really want to offer employers the talent that they do deserve. And so really to congratulate you, Lorraine, and the organizers and MIT for putting this together and bringing us together as ecosystem players. It's really, really wonderful. And I believe that everyone that has participated in this summit has something that they can use in their everyday work to make things better. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Caroline. Always inspirational to hear you speak. And I like the fact when you talk about we need to give employers the talent that they deserve, because this is how we continue to grow the ecosystem, to grow the economy and create more jobs. So everyone here who are doing the talent, doing the work, the organizations, MIT, Karam, who are training the talent, this is our call to action. We need to continue to do what we're doing, train good, high quality talent, so they'll be viewed for their talent, not their label. So right now, I have the immense pleasure to open it up to the wider community. So we have a few people who have agreed to speak. Emmanuel, Annie, I think you are first. I'm not sure if you're here. We'd like, if you are, please speak up and we'll spotlight you. Please share your reflections in 1 or 2 minutes about the summit and what you've gained from it and what you will do moving forward. What is the call to action for you?
Okay. Good afternoon once again, everyone. And great to participate in this program. My name is Emmanuel. I am from Nigeria. Thanks to the organizers equally. I would like to lay emphasis on the value of diversity. Generally, the migrants, they bring about growth and they possess equal skill and experience that can greatly benefit organizations wherever they find themselves. So there is importance for organization to support them in achieving these skills and then contribute immensely to the growth of the organization where they find themselves. Equally, the issue of importance of inclusion, that's also very critical in handling migrant issues. They are practical and are crucial for the success of migrants in the workplace. And then we'll talk about collaboration between employers and employees. There should be adequate collaboration among these two ends, that's the employer and the employees. And also skill development and training is equally important for migrants. Opportunities going forward, there's need to enhance digital platforms and long-term mentorship program equally. Stronger advocacy network should be built between the migrants and the organization, NGO, or collaborators equally. And then my reflections, I discovered the immense potential that lies within these migrants, their commitment and significant impact that they can have in the society. They play a great impact in shaping the work environment where they find themselves, and that should be admired equally. A moment that inspired me is the success story of Susan during the couple of last, I think about 2 days or was it yesterday, that she mentioned how she started and currently making waves across where she finds herself. This is very encouraging. And going forward, I will equally suggest that the issue of health and safety should equally be incorporated into this session, because personally myself, I am a health and safety practitioner. And then when you talk about dignified work expose people to a lot of hazard. There are inherent hazards in some of the jobs that people find themselves, and whereby the health and safety aspects are not considered adequately, that might result in a loss of life, that might result in injuries to both personnel or damage to environment also. These should be factored in a subsequent program, and people like us can come in to advise also. Holistically, the program has been a very wonderful program. It's inspiring, it's mind-blowing, it's educating, and it has already inspired me to begin to think outside the box. If migrants can achieve such a feat, then other people can equally make headways in achieving a significant impact where they find themselves. So kudos to the organizers once again. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Really, thank you so much. And I'm not sure if Susan's here, maybe she's not, but Susan, one of the NAML alumni, hats off to you. You inspired people, like wonderful. So next, I have the pleasure to introduce Alida. Alida, this is us. Is it Alida's second time working together on the summit? Yes, second time working together on the summit, Alida. One of the alumni from NAML and MIT. I'm going to boast about Alida. She's just been given a consultancy through NAML to be a data analyst, a consultancy contract. So Alida, always so proud of you. Please share your reflections as part of the committee and one of the alumni and someone who's working remotely.
Thank you so much, dear Rowan. Thank you so much, everybody. Let me just start with my introduction. My name is Alida Moshranzigo, and I have been part of this big family. I once started as a learner and pursuing this program, MIT React, but then was MIT React. And I'm, alumni of Computer and Data Science, cohort 2022, and also normal alumni. And I'm very delighted to be now part of a normal contract, as Lauren said. And I'll be able to share my skills, not as a refugee, but as someone who's talented and who has skills as a data analyst. So I'm very glad. This is some of the fruit of this Migration Summit. And so some of our goal, we should cheer ourselves up, because some of our main goals has been achieved even before the end of this summit. And let me share some of my key learning from this let's say 1 week long summit, but it has been a lot of work going on behind the scenes. This is not just 1 week event. So I have been able to learn a lot from different panelists, and also some of the keynote speakers, how have been enabled many created many connections, and how I was able to discover how many work that has been done with the NAMA and this amazing organization, MIT Magic Talent and Karam Foundation. Through their amazing work, I was very keen to know deeper what they have been doing behind the scenes, by witnessing myself what the different project that the refugee has been doing via for example, NAMA agency, how has been supporting people in Kakuma camp, refugee in Kakuma camp, and they are very now more independent and showcasing their talent. Also, I was being touched by the story of also some of the refugees from Uganda, and was another event regarding transforming the future of the work, the power of system thinking for collaborative action in AI and immigration. I think was on Thursday, yesterday. And so in few words, I would like to congratulate some of the whole organizing committee about how they have been achieving their goals, and I look forward to be also part of the last goal, which we need to be achieved, regarding the campaign of developing global communication by running the campaign and the create design and toolkit. But most of the other goals has been achieved, and so thank you so much to everyone who has been playing his part to make these things possible. And I would like also to thank you about how you created, you managed to create the connection between the talent, by showcasing, by portraying their talent and get them to meet with the potential employers and the clients. So thank you so much, Migration Summit. by creating opportunity to build up the trust and the collaboration and the connections. So thank you so much for your contribution to the professional growth and development of new skills among refugees in general. Thank you so much. And yeah, that's my closing word, but I'm really so grateful about your work.
Thank you, Aida. Thank you. I'm going to go a little bit off script, and because I think I need to invite Lana to say a few words. Lana, we missed you so much this year. Lana, for the first 2 years and at the beginning, Dimitri, Lana, and I were the first thinking what this could look like. And she really drove the summit the last 2 years. And I don't feel we can have a summit without Lana saying something. So Lana, my dear friend, over to you, just for a few words.
Oh, thank you, my dear Lorraine. And I'll say I'm just like maybe beyond words. So, you're putting me here on the spot just because to me, it's been just incredible to witness this year, to see this team carry forth this idea and make it anew, both in thinking humanely about the scope and scale of what does it mean to create this kind of space, but this kind of real deep and continued commitment to centering the voices of those with experiences of migration and of displacement. And so to me, I'm just really in a kind of state of awe to watch, and it's been really hard to, in some way, I want to thank everyone on the organizing committee for allowing me to step back in this year as I needed to shift in my role at MIT and commit to different, projects and to family. But I've been like cheerleading on the side throughout, and it's just really beautiful to see this evolution, and again, just this continued commitment, especially in these times, to really center those voices. So thank you, Lorraine, for the moment to just say my just deep appreciation for you all for continuing to carry this space. Thank you.
Thanks, Lana. Even though you weren't present, you were forever in our minds. And we often thought, when we come up with a problem, with an issue, we thought, what would Lana do here? And this is what guided me. What would Lana say? What would she do? So Lana, thank you so much for driving us the first 2 years. And thank you for still being a cheerleader in the background. So now I'd like to open it up to the community. Anyone, please unmute, raise your hand, unmute, turn your camera on, and just tell us your reflections, how you felt, and yeah, what moved you. Anyone? Or do I have to call on someone else?
Or if there was anything new anyone, came across, or anything particularly kind of profound that touched people, or even if you just want to shout out a session that touched you in a special way, or someone you're interested in connecting with, or any thoughts and reflections are welcome.
Yeah, Ayuk wanted to give some reflections. Ayuk's also in our organizing committee.
Hi, everyone.
I wish the program will continue.
Glad to meet you all. Yeah, my name is Peter Kings Ayuk, and I think let me just talk about let me reflect on the Migration Summit so far, not just the Migration Summit 2024, but just to talk about my journey as a member of the organizing committee of the Migration Summit. Let me first of all thank the 3 wonderful organizations that came together with this thoughtful idea to organize the Migration Summit. I'm talking about the MIT Emerging Talent. I'm talking about NAMAL. I'm talking about Karam Foundation. In the year 2022, I was a speaker. I had the opportunity to be a speaker at the Migration Summit 2022. And just to tell you that these organizations are there to help us grow and to improve us in our skills and in other aspects of life. I am a prototype of the success stories of Migration Summit, because apart from being a speaker in the year 2022, in the year 2023, I was, the theme and content co-lead of the Migration Summit 2023. That is to show that the Migration Summit, they practice what they preach by bringing refugees to be part of the activities that affects refugees, because they understand that refugees have a greater idea and a broad knowledge about the things that affects refugees. And in the year 2024, I'm still a member of the organizing committee in the logistic department. This is to show you that these three organizations are so committed to what they say. They don't just say it, but they put it into practice. And there have been a lot of success stories. Last year, 2023, as an organization, a refugee-led organization called Help the Less Privileged Foundation, we had the opportunity to organize an in-person event with title Pathways for Education for the Displaced and Migrants. And during that very 2 days workshop, we were opportuned to invite the education officer of UNHCR, who talked about different education pathways for refugees, including DAFI scholarship, that is the Albert Einstein German Refugee Academic Initiative. That is a fully funded scholarship for refugees. And I can tell you that we from that in-person event of last year, that's the Migration Summit 2023, we have 5 success stories. As 5 of our participants had the opportunity to be selected for the DAFI scholarship. And as I speak to you, one of them is Tabesik James. We have Bernadette, and just to name a few. And it was this opportunity given to us by these 3 wonderful organizations that made these very beneficiaries to have access to this knowledge, as they got this information directly from the UNHCR officer in charge of education, who spoke to all the participants about different education pathways that will help refugees to have access to education. So I'm so grateful for these 3 wonderful organizations that have come together to organize the Migration Summit. And just to say that even if the Migration Summit will last to 10 years, if I'm alive, I will still be proud to be part of the Migration Summit. I think I will just stop for now and give the opportunity to another person, but I will come back to talk about, our in-person event, our 2 days in-person event that will be taking place on the 4th and the 5th of July 2024, where we'll be talking about refugees having access to employment, not just employment, but employment, a dignified employment that, commensurate with the skills and qualifications of these refugees. Thank you.
Thank you, Ayuk, so much. And I mean, since you're talking, if you want just to continue and just briefly share about your in-person event, I think, it would be great. We actually have Borja and Suzanne that will also be hosting. Well, Borja actually already hosted their in-person events. So actually, before you were joining, we already had people on the chat asking about where in Nigeria is your in-person event. And if you can just like briefly share about it, link in the chat how people can engage, and then we will also move to Borja and Suzanne. So go ahead, Ayuk.
Okay, thank you once more for the wonderful opportunity. You know, I feel so glad when I talk about the successes of my fellow refugees, because, you know, it is through these pathways that we have been able to access education and access job opportunity. But let me just talk about our in-person, 2 days in-person event, you know. Help the Less Privileged Foundation and Greater Love Sustainable Initiative, we are thrilled to announce our 2 days in-person workshop that is titled Empowering Refugee Talent, Pathways to Dignified Employment. You know, this event will be taking place at La Cristo Hotel here in Ogoja on the 4th and the 5th of July, 2024. That is, the event is just next week, you know. So what we are going to do is that we are going to gather industry leaders who also bring together policymakers, employers, you know, and advocates to discuss and implement strategies for unlocking and engaging refugee talent, you know. And our interactive sessions will focus on, you know, 3 crucial topics. You know, one of the topics is workforce integration. And, you know, what we'll do is that we'll be exploring the benefits and strategies for effective integrating refugees into the workforce, you know. And another crucial topic we'll talk about is diversity and inclusion. We'll also emphasize, you know, the importance of fostering inclusive workplaces and overcoming barriers to inclusion. Yes, and not just that, another important point we'll also talk about, you know, is best practices for hiring refugees. You know, we'll also make sure that there is practical guidelines for recruiting and onboarding and retaining refugee talent. You know, it's not just about recruiting refugees, but, you know, giving them jobs that, you know, commensurate with their skills and their qualifications. So that is what we'll be doing on the 4th and the 5th of July, 2024. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Yeah, go ahead, Itzi.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to say, yeah, thank you so much for sharing. I've also shared the link in the chat to your organization's post. So if anyone's in the area or interested in joining, please check out his LinkedIn and register for the event. And then we also have a couple other people who are hosting in-person events in the call with us today. So Borja, I know you hosted an event yesterday. I just want to invite you to talk a little bit about what your event was and how it ties in with the Migration Summit goals.
Thanks very much, Isabella, and thanks very much to everybody. I'm very happy to be here. I was participating last year and I was like impressed by the quality of the talks and how much I learned. So this year we jumped to create an event that it was an incredible opportunity for us. So we are a tech-based NGO. We work developing like technological solutions for social problems, no? And we are in the Canary Islands base. We have offices in 4 countries, but we are based in the Canary Islands. As you may know, the Canary Islands is one of the centers of the sea migration route to Europe. Is the most lethal route in the whole world. Around 15% of the people who are trying to cross the border, they are losing their lives in the sea. This year it's been 5,000 people. So what we start doing this reality, we had like a whole humanitarian response on this, but what we were trying to do is like, okay, let's try to develop like a technological solution that can help people to start their lives here, no? And we made a platform that we call it the Tinder of employability, no? And we start like trying to connect all opportunities with migrant population that they were coming and how they were could fit into the market, no? But what happened to us, and that's the reason why we make this event, is that the problem is that we were navigating a system that is systematically unfair. So our system in Spain and the system in Europe is completely unfair. It's not just stupid, which is stupid because we need a lot of workforce, but it is unfair, no? So we started talking like a few months ago with Ashoka Tech for Humanity. Is an initiative made by Ashoka about how we could use the digital public goods to hack the system. So the first goal of the meeting yesterday was to shift the mind of the organization from being doing just advocacy and navigating the system to trying to hack the system. Hacking the system not in an illegal manner, but looking for all those spaces that are unregulated or that they are like they are vacuums, legal vacuums, in order to start trying to figure out ways of making migrant workers to have better conditions and improve the migration system. No? So the first goal was this. No? We had like 35 organizations participating yesterday, from UNICEF to the International Organization for Migration, from the Spanish Committee for Refugees, like so many different organizations. So that was the first goal. And the second was, okay, this is very Ethereum. So we want to prove that this is possible. No? And we've been designing through initiatives to hack the system. No? And yesterday we launched them. One of them already we got funds to start with it in a consortium organization. The other two, one is in a completely idea phase and the other is starting. So the three ideas were, one is how can we use the digital public goods to enable labor mobility partnerships, okay? We are trying to build up labor mobility partnership from Spain and different countries, and what is happening in order to make real something that we all speak about, but in Europe is impossible. We always say, okay, migrant population, they need legal and safe routes, but the reality is that we don't have legal and safe routes for them to come, not even if they are refugees or economic migrants. So what we are trying to do is, like, when we start building up the first labor mobility partnership at a regional level with the Canary Islands government, what we face is that the educational system, the training and the certification is such a barrier that it's almost impossible to make them happen, because people, they have to be certified in the destination system, and the destination system is presential, and all these things were going on. So the first thing that we did is like, okay, can we build up a platform and work with universities and other training institutions to make the certification and the training program in order to enable labor mobility partnership to work? That was the first idea. This is the one we have found. And we saw them because, okay, this is a way of making something that actually the regulatory framework allows, but it's never happening. There is no examples in Spain. There is one, and it's horrendous in the past, about this kind of migration. The second one was, okay, we have around 200,000 people, migrant population working in the care economy in Spain, and 50% of them, they are undocumented migrants. So it's almost impossible for them to get into access to documentations, and we were thinking, okay, there is one way, because the Spanish law allows to hire people for occupations that they are very hard to hire for, no? But of course, this is like for things like super weird, like these things that, I don't know, like data analysts, or things that are artificial intelligence, things that you don't have in your market and you have to bring from abroad. But there is one figure that it cannot be substituted, and it's entrepreneurs. So then we thought, oh my God, this is very interesting. If you can hire somebody because he has an idea, and he's the only one who can do it, because of course he's an entrepreneur, it's his idea, he's the only one who can make it. Can we accelerate regularization through this? And we tested, and actually we could. They accepted the first trials that we did. So then we said, okay, but this is very hardly scalable. And we thought about digital platforms, cooperative digital platforms. We thought, okay, what if we build up cooperative digital platforms that give like the technological support for all these people that are working in the economy of caring, and they can be, all of them, entrepreneurs, cooperative entrepreneurs. And this is the second idea that we are piloting. We are doing it together with Tech for Humanity from Ashoka. This one is we are in the making. And the third one that we launched for the groups to take it and develop, it was an idea that is basically an idea. We don't even know if it works. What we know is that we have 585,000 people working in Spain with no documents, and that hardly any of them are going to be accessing to documents in less than 3 years, because our system forced people to live in irregularity for 3 years before they have one chance to get access to documentation. So what we're thinking is like, can we build up a legal tech platform in which the illegal relationships that they have, the undocumented relationships that they have in the day-to-days, hiring houses, paying for things, paying for trainings, blah, blah, blah. Can we create a base that is not the legality that we have in Spain, but at least it can create a frame in which they can demand the conditions that they have signed for? And this was an idea that it was launched by a fellow, a SOCA fellow in India actually, and we launched the idea yesterday. So to check if there is any grounds to support it, no? And we were working in different groups in order to make all these ideas, trying to make them a bit real. No? We had like 1 hour and a half of work and trying to define how the idea could be possible. And so many of the people, they were telling us that we were like really talking about things that they couldn't understand, but in the end, like everybody was like involved and engaged in the process. So it was a very interesting conversation that is just the beginning of a process that we think is going to be long term. Like at least the first project is founded, so it will take like 2 years to build it up. But we want to keep going with this process in order to bring people and organizations to think about hacking the system instead of navigating it, which is pointless at this point of the situation in Europe.
Thank you, Borja, so much, and so inspiring. I'm also just excited. I was mentioning on the chat, also to see how we can share this broadly with the rest of the community. And so for everyone here, you know, Borja hosted his event yesterday. Ayuk will be doing next week. Throughout the whole month, we'll be having 15 in-person events, and we asked the hosts to, you know, the priority to be like on documentation and reporting so that we can share this out with the rest of the community. And so I love that. And I love that approach of hacking the system, right? Like we know what's broken and we know that, you know, there are some barriers that we just like need to work with. But, you know, how do we build those bridges and work collaboratively in, you know, in hacking the system and making it work for these communities. And so I very much appreciate the work. I shared the link to your website, but feel free to share any other resources here. And also amazing that you work with Ashoka. They have been part of the summit. Actually, a couple of days ago, Kenny was talking on the entrepreneurship panel and provided a lot of insights as well. So thank you so much. I mean, I have my mind is like, I have a lot of thoughts to share, but I'll let, if Suzanne is here with us from Pizza Eats, and she wants to talk about her upcoming event. Yeah, welcome.
Yeah. Hi everyone. I think I'm one of the few in this time zone. We are actually near midnight here in Malaysia. So I'm really glad to be here, and I'm really glad that we are able to host an in-person session in Malaysia this year. So a little bit of background, very similar to many who has just shared earlier. In Malaysia, we have close to 200,000 refugees, but as Malaysia is not a signatory of the UN Refugee Convention, refugees in Malaysia are not allowed to work legally. At the same time, there's no assistance, there's no refugee camps. So they are supposed to pay for rental, figure out their own healthcare, figure out school while not being able to work legally here in Malaysia. So all these years, refugees here have been doing odd jobs in construction, night markets, restaurant, and so on to make a living. But because they are not protected, so there is also high risk of exploitation and so on. So it's been a cause that many activists and advocates and lawyers has been fighting for, but it has not moved anywhere in the last 30 years. But right now, with the rise of gig economy and with the rise of entrepreneurship, we found a lot more creative ways that we can actually engage with talents from the community. For example, freelance content creator, freelance photographer, remote customer service specialist, and so on. And this event happening on 13 June, it's an event where the focus is on the talents themselves. So it will be a TEDx style event where we are not speaking, the talents are speaking, because the impact is we want employers to be able to see that there are amazing talents from the community, and all they need is an opportunity, and they will be able to shine and add value to the workplace. So the 4 speakers who are speaking, they are people that we have spoken to before. So for example, one of them, his name is Sydney. He used to work for a studio on a minimum wage for 8 years with no increment, nothing, because he is a refugee. But this year, he took a leap of faith and became a freelance photographer himself. And his income has tripled within 1 month because he started getting freelance gig. And because he's a freelancer, it bypassed issue of employment because it's just a contract invoicing. So a lot of companies are able to then engage with him to provide an income. So basically, we hope this event can inspire more people to engage with talents this way. And we are very excited to invite corporates and so on to come and join us so that we can find alternative opportunities to the community. We are also inviting young teens from the refugee community to join so that they see alternative career path for them, instead of thinking that because of the legal restriction, they are unable to do jobs that they dream about. So we are inviting these teens to come and listen to them so that they know that, hey, I can be a web developer, I can be a content creator, I can own my photography business and so on. So that's the goal of this event.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Suzanne. And I think you talked about freelancing, you mentioned that, and we've been talking about it throughout the whole week. And yesterday we had a session with Education for Employment in Jordan, and they were sharing also how they're building different tracks of educational opportunities that fit the different needs of the displaced communities. And so sometimes, we talk about displaced communities and sort of place everyone on the bucket, but it's not like that. Maybe refugees themselves have more sort of issues with documentations and the right to work. Then we have all the internally displaced that maybe are, facing security and safety reasons. And so the fact that, we can also see freelancing as a pathway for dignified employment for some of them, maybe it's not fitting for all, but also understanding that we need to be able to provide sort of the whole spectrum of possibilities, and, for each of them to then build their potential career path, and for them to see like what success looks like for their own experience. So amazing. I'm very excited, and yeah, I hope to also support in promoting the event more. Okay, so I think, we can do a lot of things, but I'll just leave a moment here for anyone else in case they want to raise their hands, share their reflections, learnings, insights, and yeah, and see what we do next.
If it's okay, I'd like to take a moment to also give a big kudos to our amazing designer, Fio, who always keep the brand growing. And we're always in the back end, me and her. She just designed the coat live and we share it. Like, she has amazing effort and creativity. And yeah, I just want to say thank you for all your work through all these years. And also to Kami, whose role is, how to say, your shoes is so big to fill. There's a saying, something like this. I've always, as communication specialist, felt like really inspired by how organized and very sweet as well, and kind in the work that you do, and how you keep the balance, and at the same time, yeah, you're very humane and very professional. I think this is a very, very amazing, inspiring mix. And I'm so proud to be working with such a team. I just want to also give the kudos to you.
Thank you. And I'll not talk much because I'll get emotional. But thank you. I appreciate so much. And also your work, Suhanisi, really, you are the ones that made it happen this year for sure. And we're just supporting throughout. So thank you.
I want to chime in. These in-person events which are happening in Nairobi, we're going to send, so I'm not sure if the people are in the room today, but we'll have at least 3, definitely 2, perhaps 3 NAMA people at your event in Nairobi. So even though it's an in-person event, you'll have representation from the organizing committee at the event. And wherever we are, I'm going to look and see wherever we are. We have quite a global team. We'll try to make sure that we have someone there, if possible, to come represent the summit.
Fantastic. And so, we were thinking on how was the best way to sort of close the virtual events. And we actually have some interactive sort of questions for you to, talk to us and tell us, what are the tangible actions you will take personally on from your organization perspective. But maybe I'll first open it up for our co-chairs, Dimitri, Fidel, Megan, in case they want to talk from their perspective about like the key themes that were emerging throughout the week and any key insights and learnings. So I'll pass it over to them before we move to the Slido.
Don't all go at once, please.
I can go. I was trying to demur to my other organizing team. You know, there was something as I was reflecting, and I'm with my family right now, who are here visiting from all over the US, and I was telling them all about the sessions and what was happening, and they were fascinated. But you know, there was one thing that really stood out to me from where I sit at MIT. You know, I have the good fortune of working with all of these learners, but I work in a group that actually is focused on working with universities around the world and helping universities around the world take some learnings and some of the work we do at MIT and bring that to their own universities, right? The spirit of innovation, the spirit of you know, STEM education and all the things, but also for us to learn from them. And time and again, one of the things we hear at these universities is, how do we instill this entrepreneurial mindset? How do we create the type of student that's going to make a change in the world, right? And there's no perfect answer. And I'm listening, and some of it comes from just, you know, a place in a core of your lived experience. And I think as I listen to so many people here talk about the work that they're doing, what they're creating, what they are doing, whether it's in their full-time work or it's in a side project or in the way they're showing up in their communities, everyone we heard from is a change maker in their own way and in their own spirit, and has that like instilled in them, this entrepreneurial mindset. And I don't know that's not something that can really be taught. It comes from your lived experience and who you are and what you have, you know, the school of life. And I think this is what each of you and each of these innovators and this talent has shown is what so many people are actually looking to find, is this like ability to see a problem and work for a solution. And I think that's not something people realize. They think, you know, it's I can find it in a book, or I can find it if I go to this big institution. But actually, you know, as companies look for employees that are entrepreneurial and can think outside the box, every one of you has that, and every one of the people we heard from has that. And I think that's such an important skill. But like I said, these big institutions are like grabbing to figure out how they can teach that. And I loved hearing and realizing where it was coming from so many other people. And I think it's really important to showcase that. But also I want to think about how to bring that to other universities and that we work with. So that was just something across the board. Yeah.
It's really, I mean, it's really powerful. And I think being in these conversations this week is a powerful reminder that beyond the discussions of dignity and pride and accomplishment that we see in our organization. And by the way, Lorraine and Megan, I'm in awe of all the work you guys have done in the past year. Congratulations. But it's about aspiration and motivation and people finding their passions, and us hacking. I love the use of that word today, hacking or repairing a system, so we don't fall into conspiracy theories about the system is doing what the system is meant to do, but fixing a system that it's broken, right? If the system wasn't broken, we wouldn't be having this summit for the past 3 years. But fixing a system that recognizes talent and aspiration, no matter how big or how small it is. Megan, like you know, I worked at MIT for a number of years, and at times it was humbling. You could have imposter syndrome in a place at MIT. Frankly, there's times during the summit when I have imposter syndrome because I care about how much everyone is doing. I was at the innovators workshop showcase today in the tech solutions, and I was blown away. I was left behind. I was in the dust. I don't know what they were talking about. But there's no aspiration, there's no talent too small or too big. And I think it's finding room to recognize humanity it's a place to succeed and inspire and thrive and prosper. And that's for me where we need to continue to fix things and make sure that people have the room in a system to have that success.
Yeah, and if I can follow, it's really hard to follow Dimitri and Megan. But this summit for me and everything that I've seen, as Dimitri says, I'm in awe of everyone's talent. We often hear that everyone is special, everyone has a gift, but coming to communities like this really makes us realize that that really is true. Each and every one of you in this room and everyone in the community who aren't here today have helped us create what we have today. And as Peterkin said, if the Migration Summit didn't exist, we would have to create it. And I want to share something else because I was speaking to a colleague from UNHCR this morning, and he said, what you've created in the Migration Summit is special. You've created a truly inclusive space where everyone feels equal without the hierarchies that other summits and other big global conventions have. In other summits, I mean, I was at a summit in last month, and it was a UN summit, and you felt the hierarchy. Oh, this important person's giving a speech, this important person's here up on the stage, or the grandeur. Everyone stand for this person to enter. That's not who we are, and that's not what we want. We want to create a space where everyone feels welcome and everyone feels equal, because everyone is equal. And I feel that's what we've created in this summit, this space where we all feel welcome and equal, and long may it continue.
Thank you. Thank you, Lorraine and everyone. And I actually just got an exciting message from Daniel, who actually was a speaker on the opening session and just on the Innovator Showcase too, for him to share his reflections. So Daniel, I know connectivity is definitely a challenge today, but feel free to speak up.
Oh yeah, am I audible enough?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh yeah, sorry, I had to join in on my phone because my laptop crashed, but I think everything is okay now. So I wanted to share my takeaways from the summit because I was one of the speakers in the opening session, and there are a couple of things that I picked up from the previous sections that I wanted to share with everybody. And number one, before I do that, Ayuk said something about Duffy Scholarship, and I wanted to tell him that I'm a proud alumni and a beneficiary of the Duffy Scholarship, and from Kakuma refugee camp, and I graduated last year with a bachelor's in IT in Nairobi. So the other thing is that on the aspect of collaboration, I think it's very important to collaborate with the refugee talent. For example, the people who presented earlier with their startups and projects, like Susan Achiech and the rest of the presenters that presented on the other session about what they're working on and the projects that are working on. For those who are working in organizations that want to support the refugee community but don't have agents or offices in the refugee community, I think it would be a very good idea if they collaborate with these startups and organizations and CBOs in the camps and also around the camps and this would also help in improving their reach, increasing their reach, as the people who are based in the camps know the issues very well, and they would take a very short time and they would also address the issues very fast because they know what the communities in the refugee camps need. And the other thing is when involving migrants and refugees in this kind of forums, it gives them a platform for them to increase their reach and share their ideas with everybody else. Like for example, myself, I've received a lot of requests from on my LinkedIn, and also there are very many projects right now that I've been able to work on because people have been reaching out to me through the LinkedIn and other platforms as well. And also, I think by giving the refugees these kind of opportunities, they would be able to help themselves in other ways, apart from just giving them aid like food and shelter, because some people, when they meet the refugees and migrants, what they think of immediately is that this person needs food, this person needs shelter. But actually, when you give them the opportunity to work and earn an income, that income may help them in supporting themselves financially, and they would not need other forms of help from other organizations, and the funds could be directed towards different causes. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Daniel. And it was really our privilege to have you, sharing your experience, your learnings with the rest of the community. So congratulations also for all the work that you're doing. Okay, I can believe time flew by. We only have 15 more minutes, and we want to be fair with everyone's time and not get too much into your afternoon, night of Friday. But I'll hand it over to Suha, our amazing comms lead, for her to talk about sort of what's coming next for the communications campaign that we are leading. Really, I think probably the name of this session shouldn't have been closing session, because it really is not the closing of the Migration Summit. So over to you, Suha, to share more about it.
Thank you, Cami. Yes, actually, this is what I wanted to start with, that this is not the beginning. I know it's the closing session and last day of the virtual event. But this year, because it's also special, as Lorraine started the session saying, we had more like 1 month virtual events before. Last year, we had virtual events and in-person event. And this year, we have also a communication campaign that is expanding beyond the virtual events. And our focus is more onto humanizing the stories and make them the central of our focus, the talents, and how to highlight them in different ways. We will share with you some of the ideas that we will continue. So please keep your eyes on social media channels, keep your eyes on our website. We will send you newsletters, so you will be receiving updates soon. One of the first ones is on our website. We launched a page called Portraits of Talents, and the aim of this page is to celebrate and showcase the individuals from displaced communities with a glimpse on their jobs and job research experience, what advice they would give to their younger self, and hoping that this will help others as well in their journey, but also to highlight and celebrate the talents. We will share with you the links, and if you're interested as well, you are also invited if you have displacement background. We want to keep the focus on displaced background because we want to give the opportunity to celebrate and highlight the talents within the community that needs also the support. Another great idea also, like our opening space that we have, if you are interested in sharing your own personal story or reflection from the summit, we have a blog series. And we were so lucky that we opened actually with a story from one of our community members, Shadi Kabila, who shared his own personal story, and we shared it in the World Refugee Day. And we want to give him a big thank you for trusting us as well with his story. It was a learning, like a huge learning experience for me to learn about what he went through, but also to see the strength that he has. So you've been inspiring us, and I know that he's not always with us in the calls, but he always exists in other platforms like his story on the blog. Also, we will be working on presenting a video that showcase stories like of Daniel, actually, who's with us here. So thank you, Daniel, for being with us in many different ways. That's amazing. And Daniel's brother, he's an amazing videographer. He's working on this video with 2 stories from Kakuma camp, 2 stories from Nairobi. And we're so lucky for them to share the stories, Daniel, Ebengo, Suzanne, and Tepita. I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. We're so looking forward to see your stories coming live. And I want to thank the team who's behind this campaign of the animator in Brazil. He's a Syrian animator in Brazil. We are also working with a motion graphic in Turkey, in Konya, and a sound editor. I'm trying not to forget them, but like the team is big, and the sound editor in Istanbul. And everyone is working together to do it in different ways, because our stories also, whether with people coming from displaced backgrounds, need, I think, different ways to be presented. Not everyone can write a blog or want to share their stories maybe in a video. Like, so we wanted to have different layers in how we can present these stories. So keep your eye on the website and social media channels, and reach out to us because we're not finished yet. And one of our main big outcome actually from this week is a toolkit that we hope that will be a source for employers, because we want also to do an impact that lasts beyond the summit, beyond our campaign, for HR and employers to know how to overcome the challenges that they think they might be facing of recruiting refugees or displaced individuals. These talents, there are many people we have heard from in the summit how they overcome these challenges, they found creative solutions. So we're so looking forward after this to digest what we have been receiving as well. And we will be reaching out to many of you who participated in the summit for your input on the toolkit. And hopefully we can together make a more dignified working opportunities for everyone. As we heard also in the summit, it's not just for refugees or for migrants. Like, we have different titles that we can put, of course, for the groups, but also hoping that it will grow for many and many individuals who are in need to open up their talents and being welcomed in a dignified way, because we all deserve it, as we heard it today and in the previous sessions. Thanks for everyone. If you have any questions, of course, please reach out to us. If you are interested to join the Portraits of Talents, we will reshare the links, and we will be coming and reaching out to you soon with more updates. Thank you, Kami.
Thank you very much. It was very good for me to learn a lot about you guys. I hope that we are going to continue to improve the life of many refugees around the world. Thank you so much for the good job that you are doing.
Yeah, thank you, Lillian. I also want to say one of the things that I found really special about the summit is kind of like the evolve, like how it's sort of evolved over the last 3 years. But one of the things that's happened that we've kind of noticed over the, you know, all the sessions is kind of like how everyone's sort of interlinked, how people join a session and they'll kind of spot someone and say, oh, hello, or kind of, you know, oh, I was actually just met them last week, or I was on a meeting on this, or actually I'm an alumni from their organization, but unintentionally. So the fact that there's all these connections and all these links, I think is really important, and also quite representative of what the Migration Summit is and what we stand for. And you know, we've kind of overused the word silos, but you know, the whole point is you want to bring everyone together. And I think this year, we feel it every year, right? But I think now that it's the 3rd year, it's a bit of a pattern now. It's not just kind of, oh, we've done it twice. Now it's a yearly habit. And so to see the evolution and the community sort of evolve, I think is really, really special. So the sense of community is definitely something that I'll take away from this year. And yeah.
No, I just wanted to thank you, Izzy, because also you have amazing organizing and managing skills that kept us going sorted despite all the chaos. So thank you for all of that, and for jumping in for support for everyone who needed and being calm and kind during that. So appreciating your energy as well.
Thank you. Thank you both. And, I think, Izzy, what you mentioned earlier today when we had the innovator showcase, we were talking in a little breakout room, and people were asking, okay, and how is it that we actually connect with each other? How is it that we actually collaborate and go beyond? And so as part of the comms campaign, this will take a bit more because it really is a lot. Like, I cannot explain the quantity of submissions we got on the call for information, like inputs from the community, from the forms for mapping the ecosystem. Like, it really is a lot of information, but actually very exciting because it's a lot of initiatives, like education initiatives, like for these communities. And so we'll do our best to also like help map that ecosystem and share it out with the community so that people can sort of look at the map, browse through, and find sort of like interesting organizations in the locations where you work, and so we can hopefully also continue to help promote the work that you do. And so coming later in July, but coming as well. Yeah, and so I wanna also give another like opportunity for anyone else who wants to raise their hand and share any insights. I see a lot of familiar faces connected before we wrap up.
And thank you. While we wait for people to sort of unmute themselves and speak up, just also a big thank you to everyone that's kind of been engaging and taking part in all the sessions and being really engaged in the discussions and keen to get involved and work together to build something really incredible. So thank you everyone for joining. And I think the closing session is probably a lot of people here that have been present throughout the last week, or if you're new here as well. But yeah, as Cami said, please share any final thoughts or remarks or ideas going forward.
Yeah, thanks for that. Look, just want to echo everyone's sentiment around the well-organized event and, of course, the horizontal approach. Very impressive. The less hierarchies, the better, as Lorraine was saying. But if anyone is keen on collaborating around understanding migration, in particular in South Africa, happy to link up. I'll drop my LinkedIn link in the chat, but really great to meet all these inspiring individuals doing amazing things, and well done to everyone. Thanks.
Fantastic, thank you. Yeah, and earlier today there was someone asking about South Africa. So yeah, feel like definitely share that on the chat so I can hopefully facilitate the connection as well. And Alida is doing a thumbs up because she's there in Cape Town. I'm sure she's willing to also help. Okay, anyone else?
Okay. I think we're also receiving a lot of interesting emotional engagement in the chat, which doesn't reflect. Maybe you see it in our faces, but because also, yeah, people are engaging in the chat with thank you, but reflections on how you can be connected. We received one question on how from Nathan. So if it's the first time to join the Migration Summit, please subscribe to the newsletter. We will be sharing this update. I'm sure like it was also overwhelming maybe with a lot of things we mentioned today. So if you subscribe to newsletter, follow our channels, we will be sharing these updates. You can always reach out to us by sending an email if you have an interest to engage, and or a message to the social media channels so we can follow up. And we hope to see that community growing also into impact. It's amazing to see these energies and to these lessons that we're learning, and we hope to turn them into actions. Sparking actions is one of our main goals this year as well, beside the resources and humanizing the stories. So we hope that we move also from this week with the energy to do these actions. If no one have any comment, I'll give it to you, Cami or Lorraine, to reflect as well.
Maybe as we close, I will start and then I will let Cami close this all because this is what she's good at. Just to say thank you for this year. Look out for us next year. 2025 is a big year, good number. I like numbers ending in 5. It's going to be a good year, a big year. We don't know what we'll have in store, but it's going to be even more incredible, even more amazing, even more impactful than this year. That we can promise. So thank you all for all of your patience with us, for all of the time you took logging on to Zoom in various times of the day, somewhere near to midnight, sometimes very early in the morning if you're on the West Coast in the US. But thank you all for being here. And on behalf of everyone of the organizers, the co-host, we are truly grateful for you. Thank you. This is the community that we want to be part of. So thank you. And Cami, over to you.
Fantastic. I see all the smiles there. So I appreciate everyone. I can't believe we're literally about to close the 3rd edition of the Migration Summit. And so I think I always love doing sort of the final goodbye with letting everyone say bye in their native language. And so unless Megan, do you want to say some last comments? We can go ahead.
No, I think that's the perfect way to close this out. I think that's wonderful. Yes.
Fantastic. And so make sure before you leave the Zoom, just unmute yourself and say bye in whatever language you want. So I'll start. I'm from Uruguay. I speak Spanish. So chao, chao a todos.
Chao, chao.
Adios.
Adios.
Au revoir.
Bye.
Bye.
إلى اللقاء.
I think a snapshot would have been better.
I think Fio's getting one. I can see her. She's getting at least a video. Yeah.
Congo, Botigala Malamu.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye. Wassalam.
Bye.